Alright, question 6. We're looking at some line structures, but specifically we have a series of line structures that have a problem. And so we have to do two things in these problems. We have to first of all figure out what's wrong with them, and secondly, and too often when I give students problems like this, they skip the second part. So don't do that on an exam. Make sure you know exactly what the question's asking, and if there's two parts to it, make sure we answer both parts. So what's wrong in part A? Well, the issue we have in part A is oxygen. How many bonds does oxygen normally have? Normally, it only has 2 bonds. The oxygen in this structure has 3 bonds. So that's the problem. How do we fix it? Well, we can do it one of two ways. If we want to keep the 3 bonds, then we need to reflect that with the correct formal charge. The other option is that we can draw the oxygen as it would normally be if it's neutral with only 2 bonds. In part B, hopefully the problem is pretty obvious. We've got a carbon with 5 bonds. And so the only way to fix that is by getting rid of one of the bonds. Now, it doesn't matter if you get rid of the double bond or get rid of one of the methyl groups. The point is, it has too many bonds and it's not a valid structure. Finally, in part C is very similar to part A. Nitrogen here has 4 bonds. We know that nitrogen only wants 3, so we've got too many bonds to nitrogen. Similar to part A, we could either put a positive charge on the nitrogen or we can remove one of the bonds to nitrogen.